Excuse me. Oofta. So I believe the mic is working. Maybe not. Of course, you know, Beast, you watch my show enough, you know that I can't do any show without technical problems. Please stand by. Although I think that fixed it. Yep, okay. Data fixed it. Alright. We're gonna get this show on the road here. I'm gonna do a very brief intro. I've been doing a longer intro, and that's been cutting down on my show time a little bit, so I'm going to do a brief intro. I'll do all the ad bullshit, whatever YouTube shit at the end. Okay. Just remember, you know, if you're watching the video and you like it, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube bullshit. Okay. So this is the Angry Wrench. I am the Wrench, otherwise known as Shawan. I have currently Beast and Gareth in there. Says Beast says coffee break. Yes, absolutely. You know, coffee is life, and I'll prove that in a second. Or excuse me, water is life. And Gareth says Mike is working. Cool. Water is life, and the reason I know water is life is because without water you can't make coffee, and without coffee there would be a lot of people that wouldn't be here. I'm telling you. I'm just saying. All right. I'm just saying. So. Anyway, I am the Angry Wrench. My show is usually political or social issues. Once in a great while I might do something about food or whatever, you know, maybe on a holiday. I'm a Celtic pagan. You know, no, I don't worship Satan, okay? You know, he and I might be on a first name basis. But I don't worship the motherfucker, okay? And that's another thing too. This show does, I'm not swearing, I'm not using profanity every other word or so. But it does come out, okay, and it doesn't slip out sometimes. I intend it to come out, all right? I get a little passionate about whatever topic I'm talking about. That's not going to change. So if you're not up for that kind of language, I don't have a problem, but this show is not the show for you. This channel is not the channel for you because I'm not going to change it. So, like I said, I do politics, I do social issues, you know, the hellscape that we're living in right now, etc. But I also do things like, you know, I'll do another show pretty soon actually on disability in America, and I'll probably split that up into pre-Trump and post-Trump because pre-Trump wasn't great either, let me tell you. Alright, so let's get this shit started. Alright, so first of all, I'm gonna probably mess this up pronunciation wise, but I'm trying, okay? Hola personas, este un programa sobre política y es para todos. Okay. This show is about politics, and it is for everybody. All right, that's pretty much what I said. Not would. This particular show is about Trump's executive orders, and I know you all have seen, you know, all sorts of, you know, people on YouTube talking about it, people on the news talking about it. If you watch the legacy media, which I don't, not just Fox, but ABC, CNN, NBC, MSNBC. BBC, CBS, you know, whatever, let alone the right-wing crap like, you know, OAN and, you know, Newsmax and whatever. I have opinions about those, and I've expressed those before, so I think they suck. Short enough, okay. But a lot of it is not going to be shown on legacy media, is what I call legacy media. Mainstream media is another way to put it. And so I wanted to pick, I'm going to list some Trump's executive orders very briefly, and then I picked 5 that I think, 5 or 6, I believe, 5 or 6, that are, you know, I've slept since then, that are more prevalent. Now there's some that are going to be more important to other people, and I understand that, but these are probably more prevalent to my audience in general, and a lot of people in general, in specific, okay? And so, you know, let's get this show on the road. I have a showrunner. I have to have a showrunner because I am AUDHD, which is autistic, and I have ADHD, squirrel. And so if I don't have a showrunner, I can talk for like 5-6 hours at a time. If I don't have a showrunner, no, y'all probably wouldn't watch it because it would take me 4 hours to do, you know, like 1/4 of my showrunners. So, Merrick Garland, this motherfucker, we gonna talk later. Alright, but I'm not impressed with him. And Jack Smith. I'm gonna get into that too. Okay, I'm not a Democrat. I am blue. I guess you could call it that. I'm a leftist. I'm a what I consider what I call a baby socialist. I don't get a whole lot into the theory. It's not that I don't understand the theory. It's that for me it gets in the way of dealing with people, treating with people. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. It does form a lot of my opinions. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of capitalism in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, we'll get into Merrick Garland. So first of all, Numpty Numpty. He put out 26 executive orders, 12 memos, and one of which is, a couple of which are about the funding, which we'll get into, and 4 proclamations just on the first day alone. I was going to look it up, and my brain forgot to see how many he's done so far. If anybody that's in the chat or watching or whatever wants to pop that in, that's fine. I like it when people interact with the chat. Express your opinion. This isn't a free market zone. Okay, so ideas on the free market, or definitely not libertarian. I don't tolerate. I am a non-civil discourse, but by that I mean I don't tolerate Nazi bullshit. I don't tolerate libertarian bullshit. I don't tolerate right-wing bullshit. This is a leftist channel, and if you don't like it, there's a lot of right-wing shit Shapiro and Dim Fool and whatever, all that other crap on there. Okay. Wow. I mean, I knew it was a bunch. I figured it was over 30, but Gareth says 46. Yeah. And it's what he started them January 20th, I believe it was, or January 21st, one of the two. So that's 11, 12 days, whatever, that he's done 46, so it's, well, I was going to say 4 a day, but, he's done, and that's just the executive orders. That's not the memos and all the other crap that he's passed or put forth. Okay, some of which are illegal. We'll get into those. One of the 2, actually, of the 6 that I'm going to focus on. We'll get into those. Okay. I don't call it the Trump White House. I call it the Trump Outhouse because it's full of shit. All the I'm not going to say all the Secret Service are, and the what I call the lower echelon of staff and whatever, because a lot of them have worked, for the White House for years or whatever, they're just government workers, cleaners or cooks or whatever, they're not involved in policy decisions in any way. Yeah, 3 or 4 a day, exactly, Gareth. Okay, but what Trump is doing and what the GOP is doing, there's a thing called gish galloping, which I covered in the last show. Okay, if you want, I'll go into. I'm not going to go into depth on that, but I did go into depth on that in the last show. Okay, basically, it's kind of the version of a lot of religious people used to be accused of this when debating atheists or scientists, where they would throw 10, 15 topics up against the wall, and it's also a political technique, debate technique, and then expect you to answer all of them within 3 minutes. And if you didn't answer one, they're like, oh, well, you didn't answer this one, so the rest of your crap is the rest of your stuff is crap too. No, doesn't work that way. Very briefly, one of the best ways to combat that is pick one that's the weakest argument and then just go after that one. Because usually when they do a gish gallop, all of them are weak, but usually one is the weakest. Okay. But it's kind of like a fire hose of topics and instances, circumstances, whatever. They're eating the dogs. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna list a dozen or so of the worst. Okay, and then I will cover 6. I'll go in greater detail on 6 of them. So let's get this going. Okay, so one is Migrant Detention Center at Guantanamo Bay, which has been accused and some people have been convicted before of abuse. Yay, and then putting people talk here about putting people in camps. That's a fucking camp. It's nothing but a concentration camp. They may not be running showers yet, but it's a concentration camp. Okay. Reshaping the military to whatever he wants, which is basically he wants it to be his own version of Bully Boys, kind of like the greater federal version of cops, 1312. This one, I saw this and I was like, oh my God. Starting a process to develop an American Iron Dome. This dumb motherfucker when he was running the first time, talked about the Iron Dome, and he thought it was a literal Iron Dome covering America. What it is the missile defense. Okay, kind of like what did they call it during Reagan years? Star Wars. Okay, you know, well, actually Star Wars used lasers. They were going to use lasers to shoot down missiles. Yeah, okay. It put a freeze on refugee admissions. You know, you can only have so many. You know, fuck, give us you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry. We only want your H-1B qualified people. Okay. He left the World Health Organization. You know, obviously, you know, in conjunction with their stance on COVID, their stance on AIDS, and people don't know, but right now, because Trump blocked the CDC with his memos, oh boy, from putting out information, Kansas is going through one of the worst tuberculosis outbreaks in U.S. history. Anybody heard about that? Okay. And there is Perrin. Hey, Perrin, what's up? One of my longtime supporters. He's an awesome guy. Of course, all the people in the chat are awesome. You know, that's just, you know, I attract awesome people. I guess, you know, whatever. Let's see. So I'm just listing some of the BS, you know, that Trump has done, Perrin. I'm not going to go into great detail on him. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico. What the fuck are you doing? Obviously, it's a distraction technique, okay? But deflection technique, but what the fuck are you doing? Okay, rename. First of all, we're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Nobody else is doing it. Mexico ain't doing it. Canada ain't doing it. Africa's not, you know, any of the countries in Africa aren't doing it. England isn't doing it. Nope, just America. Because, you know, we're number one. We're number one. All right. Reclassing federal employees, making them easier to fire. We're going to get into that a little bit. Pausing the TikTok ban. Oh my God, TikTok is so horrible. You know, Chinese are stealing data. They're stealing data of the Americans. Okay, you know, if you want to worry, if you're going to worry about protecting Americans' data, and you're going to worry about protecting American, you know, Social Security numbers, or you know, whatever, all that stuff. Okay, why don't you go after Facebook? Because them the motherfuckers that really got the data and their fingers in it. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg. You know, Mr. Robot himself. Yeah, B said I'd be here for a few millennia. Exactly. Like I said, pausing the TikTok ban, and here's why he's paused it. Okay. Obviously, you know, the GOP wanted to do it, you know, because it's a great deflection tactic. Like I said, they wanted to do it. But when he talked about it, he said maybe we could bring it back. This is what got me. Maybe we could bring it back, where the American government could have like a half interest, basically, you know, to control the cable or whatever. And half of the not employment, what's the word I'm looking for? Half of the profits. He didn't use that word, but half of the money coming from it. That's what it's about, okay? You know, I'm going to use this phrase later on in the show more than once, but using America as a piggy bank. That's what it's about. Declaring a national border emergency, because if he declares a national border emergency, then legally he can take the National Guard and the Army, Air Force, whatever, okay, and send them down to the border, okay. It's kind of interesting that he's, oh my God, the GOP, we got to focus on the border. There are broad people coming across the border. All 19 of the hijackers for 9/11 came through Canada. Every single one of them, okay. And there are other terrorists, to use that word, who came through Canada. But oh no, we can't do that because that might block white people from coming into the country. There are a lot of white people who have overstayed their visas here. Aside from Elon Musk, have overstayed their visas here. Why aren't they going after them? Gee, I wonder why. Let's see. Issuing pardons for January 6th defendants, because he's constantly complaining about, oh, Mexico is putting all the criminals out on our streets, like what you did, okay? So, for example, already, you have a guy who's on the run after he, got released January 6th, okay, because he's being charged with sexual predation of children. Yay! If he was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, like Donald Trump was. Then you have another guy who got released, okay. He was convicted of, I believe, beating the cop. I could be wrong on that. whatever his crime was. Okay, he got released. I'm pretty sure it was violent, in some way, and got stopped by a cop and got into a shootout apparently, and the cop killed him. So, first of all, he ain't never gonna do that again, is he? Secondly, you know, you're putting violent criminals on the streets. And finally, withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement. And, y'all know the reason behind this one, okay, because, his big buddies in the oil and gas industry got to make that money, all right? We're going to get into that also, because, there's a state up north that I'm going to get into in detail on that. But got to make that money, and we can't make that money if we actually accept that. Sorry, my sock is bothering me. We actually accept that climate change is real. Oh, no, we can't do that. So, let's get into the shit, all right? So, ending birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship, if you don't know, if you're under a rock and you don't know, okay, is where you have both parents, okay? That's the key here, okay? Not just one, both parents. Although, they're trying to do otherwise, but both parents have to be, at the time that the kid is born, non-citizens. Now, they can be working through the process legally. They can go through all that stuff. They can be, I don't know, I think they're still qualified, if the kid is still qualified, if they're naturalized citizens, okay? But in any case, they're going through the process. Generally, they're not citizens yet. But if the baby is born on American soil, it is an American citizen. That's what it says in the fucking Constitution. The little book that Republicans like to carry around like this and parade around and say, oh, look, I believe in the Constitution. Motherfucker, most of them never read it, let alone their Bible. But anyway, we're not going to get into religion today. So, this is flat out, well, we're going to get into what he said. Okay, I'm going to do a couple quotes for each one here, okay? The citizenship says, the order specifies that it would limit birthright citizenship if a person's mother was unlawfully present in the United States and the father was not a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth. So, for example, if the mother was here illegally, quote unquote illegally, okay, there ain't no such fucking thing as illegals. Immigrants maybe, migrants, yes, but not illegals. Anyway, if the mother was quote unquote here illegally, and the father was still a lawful permanent resident, he gone through the the citizenship, all the steps that are required or whatever, okay, that he's saying, I'm going to change the Constitution just because I can. No, he can't. And they're not going to be a citizen. Okay. So there's a couple things I want to note here. Okay. Birthright citizenship, which guarantees citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil, is protected by the 14th Amendment. Now, there's been a memo going around which says that, which is true. I believe it was 88, I think it was, that Melania and, not Melania, Ivana, okay, got American citizenship. And Donnie Jr., Ivanka, and, or is Ivanka, whatever, okay, the mother anyway. Donnie Jr., the lesser intelligent one, Eric, oof, like Donnie's, a great genius himself, and the girl, all were born prior to that. Oh, so they're not American citizens. No, it doesn't work that way. You can be born in Russia or China or wherever, and if one of your parents is an American citizen, guess what, Sparky? You're an American citizen. That's how the law works. That's how the Constitution works. If they pay attention to the Constitution. They don't like that. They want to shit on it. Trump said literally during his first, I believe it was a campaign and also the his presidency, his reign is what I call it, that he wanted to terminate the Constitution. That was his exact fucking word. But the GOP is all about law and order and the Constitution. Sure it is. Parent says he's editing. Beast says he's editing with MV Sep. Sure. Oh, must be some music stuff. Okay, because Beast does some music, by the way. If Beast or anybody else has a website that they want to pop into the chat where they're doing, small business, art or music or whatever, writing, feel free to pop it in. I don't care. Promote yourself. So basically, like I said, it is protected by the 14th Amendment, and any attempt to revoke it will bring immediate legal challenges, which I believe there's over 20, could be close to a dozen or more, of attorneys general that are already bringing legal challenges to it because it's clearly fucking unconstitutional. Trump is the president. He's the head of the Department of Justice. Okay, that's the executive branch. The only ones that make constitutional laws or amend constitutional laws is Congress. The president cannot write an executive order, if you follow the Constitution. The president cannot write an executive order and change the Constitution. It doesn't fucking work that way. At least, when we're not in a fascist hellscape. It was temporarily blocked on the 23rd of January with the judge calling it blatantly unconstitutional. It was a little bit longer in the phrase, but he said something like, in my 4 decades on the bench, I've never seen an executive order or a claim or whatever, okay, that was more blatantly unconstitutional than this one. Flat out. Trump is not the legislative branch, okay? He does not have the legal power to do this, period. Okay. Now, SCOTUS gave him a large amount of immunity. Okay, here you go. Have some get out of jail free cards. All right, for his actions as the president. Okay, but that's not his actions as the president. That's not legal actions as the president. Okay, as I said, only Congress can do that. And if the House and the Senate go along with this on party lines, which is entirely possible, okay, I guarantee you, the GOP will lose a ton of seats in the 2026 election, assuming we have an election. But here's the thing. Let's say we have an election and it works, okay, which I'm not going to predict, exact numbers. I don't do that. The GOP had the same problem when they predicted, we're going to have a red wave, and they had like 8 seats they gained, something like that, 10 seats, whatever it was. They predicted 40 or 50. I'm not going to predict 40 or 50. What I am going to predict, if we have the election and it goes through and it's accepted, et cetera, is that the Republicans are going to lose both the House and the Senate. Closer on the Senate. I'm pretty sure they're going to lose the House if that happens, but closer on the Senate. Obviously, not the White House until 2028. And that's definitely going to stop a lot of the Trump shit because, and we're going to get into that again, if we have elections and or if Congress still has the power. That's going to stop a lot of the Trump shit because, they can veto it or they can block it. Okay, and in order to block it, but in order to override a veto, they have to have 2/3. That's the problem. Okay, so they're never going to get 2/3 Senate. Okay, that's just not going to happen, and they're definitely not going to get 2/3 of the House to override a veto. All right, but if Trump, so whatever, I doubt that there's going to be any legislation at all until after 2026 that is going to be passed by both the House and the Senate, with a few exceptions, like the border bill, when 81 Democrats voted with the Republicans to pass the border bill. Anyway, so like I said, I think that they will lose a lot of seats, okay? But, in one sense, and I'm going to repeat this again, through the show, in one sense, they don't fucking care. Because their goal is to treat America as a piggy bank, to squeeze every single penny dollar out of it they can before 2026. Now, assuming, that they stay in power after 2026, then it'll be even worse, okay? But until that point, that's what they're going to do. Which is why, they're talking about, Trump's been talking about cutting Social Security, talking about cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare, cutting food stamps, cutting whatever, okay? And again, I've said this every single time I've ever done a political show, and I've been doing this now with the other channel for almost 4 years. Yeah, definitely a smash and grab, exactly. And yes, I do know why the 14th Amendment came into existence, Garrett. Every single action like this is designed to, like I said, to get as much money out as possible. Okay, and I will repeat this occasionally through the show. If you look at Trump's executive orders, you look at his memos, you look at all the other stuff he's done, you look at all the stuff that the GOP has done, okay? Every single action that Trump has taken, okay, every single action is designed to destroy as much of the social, legal, cultural, infrastructure systems in America. If you realize that, everything he does makes sense. Absolutely everything he does makes sense. You know, the blocking of the CDC, and then we have the outbreak in Kansas. Now, obviously, he can't predict an outbreak in Kansas of tuberculosis, okay? But what he could easily do is go, you know what, I'm going to lift that ban or that limitation on the CDC, and they can talk about it. Nope, he ain't doing that. All right. Next, we're going to get into FEMA. You know, the evil people, according to the GOP. Trump ordered a review of FEMA and suggested there's political bias in the agency, and he criticized the agency's response to Hurricane Helene. Here's what happened with a lot of people. Not every single person, you know, hashtag not all people, but with a lot of people. FEMA came in and tried to help people. We got money for you, we got food for you, we got supplies for you, we can try to give you temporary housing. And then people said nope. And in some cases, they even threatened FEMA agents and forced them to get off their land at gunpoint because these dumbasses, and that's what they are, swallowed all that GOP bullshit. Okay, oh, the Democrats are evil, the libs are evil, whatever the GOP says is good. The party is always right. Gee, where did we hear that before? In what book? Trump said, direct quote, despite obligating nearly $30 billion in disaster aid each of the past 3 years, FEMA has managed to leave vulnerable Americans without the resources and support they need when they need it most. They had the money. They had the supplies. They had the housing, to a large extent. Okay, they had all of that. They had a lot of stuff that could at least alleviate a lot of the problems that the people had. And the GOP stepped in because just like with the border bill, they passed, the House passed it, the Senate passed it, they worked together, got a thing, they were going to send it to Biden. Biden was going to sign it. The toughest border bill in U.S. history, okay? Way to the right of the Democrats, which are center right anyway, but way to the right of the Democrats. And it was all ready to go to Biden, he was all ready to sign it, and Trump said no, because he wanted to use that as a campaign issue. Again, everything he does is designed to destroy America. All right? So anyway, getting back to FEMA, a review council, which includes the alleged drunkard, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and Kristi Noem, you know, the one who shot her dog, killed her dog, because the dog, you know, wouldn't go after birds. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, a lot of people mistakenly understand, you know, I've been a hunter for years, you know, I've used hunting dogs. Okay, a lot of people mistakenly understand that Kristi Noem had a hunting dog, a trained hunting dog, and took it out. It didn't do it, which is not justifying her killing the dog, by the way, but, you know, that's why she got pissed off. No, the dog wasn't trained. She didn't fucking train the dog. So she expected the dog, you know, because of genetics, I guess, or whatever, to go out, oh, yeah, we're going to help hunt, you know. And they went out, and it didn't work, so she took it to a quarry, a rock quarry, and shot and killed it. Then that wasn't enough, okay? She then went home, and apparently one of her goats pissed her off, so she took that out there and shot and killed it. And how do we know this? Because she said it in her book. She was bragging about it. I'm not a clinician. I can't say specifically that she has this condition or that condition or whatever, but it sure the fuck sounds like the classic traits for a sociopath to me. The GOP ramped up fears of FEMA, like I said. People, you know, FEMA agents supposedly taking away people's homes, etc. So they fucked themselves over. Okay, we're going to get into that at the very end of the show. They fucked themselves over. All right. Removing barriers to AI innovation, and investing in digital financial assets, which means Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Okay. This is basically cryptocurrency. Obviously, very, very simplifying, okay? But this is my opinion, basically cryptocurrency, okay? I decide that I'm going to create a cryptocurrency, so I advertise it. I say, well, I'm creating this cryptocurrency, and if you buy into it, you'll make a lot of profit. So a lot of people buy my bullshit, okay? And so they paid $10 for a quote-unquote dollar of cryptocurrency, okay? Or 1 for 1 even. Well, then they turn around and sell it to the next person. Say I sell it to James, okay? And he buys it for $2 a piece. Then James turns around and sells it to Gareth or to Perrin for $5 a piece. It's a fucking pyramid scheme, and it's crashed more than once, and people have lost a lot of fucking money. But, you know, it's okay for the American government to do it. Again, taxpayer money is a piggy bank. He signed an order calling for a review of all Biden policies to remove policies that quote-unquote act as barriers to American AI innovation. Here's the thing that gets me. Okay, it's bad enough to do that. Like I said, you know, treating the American public, the taxpayer, as a piggy bank. This is a direct quote. We must develop AI systems that are free from ideological bias or engineered social agendas. What the fuck is a social agenda, regardless of what it is, whether it's about trans people or queer people or you know, giving black people better rights, you know, because they sure the fuck don't have them, or whatever else. What the fuck does that have to do with cryptocurrency? Not a damn thing. But again, it's a deflection tactic. It's smoke and mirrors. Okay. It's just buzzwords. Okay. It's like DEI or CRT or whatever. Okay. And like I said, talking about taxpayer money, a lot of people don't know. Some of I was going to say Trump. Same thing. Some of Musk's deputies. Okay. Literally, physically took over a building's offices and computers and software from the government. You know, this whole Doge thing, which is not legal, okay, wasn't established by Congress. They took all this shit over from the government physically, okay, and they now have, at least temporarily anyway, they now have control of all that software and all that stuff that not only has all the data on Americans, your address, your age, your voting records, your social security number, how long you may or may not have been on benefits, how long you may or may not be working, etc. All that information is in those computers, okay? So much for protecting Americans' data. All that is available to Musk. Whether or not, you know, if this gets, you know, taken out, if, you know, Congress says, you know, gets a fucking spine and says, nope, can't do it, okay, and they close it down or they take it away from Musk, they've already got the fucking data. So, you know, when you tell me, by you I mean MAGA, okay, when you tell me that, oh, you know, they got rid of TikTok to protect my data, okay, well, first of all, why would TikTok care about you, Cletus? Okay, it wouldn't care about me. Secondly, you think it's horrible that TikTok does it, but you're okay if Elon Musk does it. Okay, lone scum is what I call him. It can be anagrammed with those letters to lone scum, so that's what I call him. All right. Former PayPal executive David Sachs has been tasked to develop an AI action plan. Meanwhile, another group will start working on regulations. Remember, and like I told you, you know, the Elon Musk's deputies control the building and the software and the computers. Yay. Next one is drill, baby, drill. Okay. Declaring a national energy emergency, which gives him more powers to do more things in regards to laws, you know, EPA laws and whatever, okay, covering, you know, where they can drill, how they can drill, or whatever, okay, and quote unquote unleash oil production in Alaska. Trump declared a national energy emergency as part of a whole bunch of pro-fossil fuel actions and efforts to unleash already booming energy production. We already have energy production is at one of the highest rates in political history, but we need to have more for whatever reason. Okay, the oil industry, oil companies have thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres that they own, and or they have mineral rights too. Okay, that they haven't drilled on yet at all. Okay, so when you talk about and also a pause on gas exports. Okay. What Trump said was that order means you can do whatever you have to get out of that problem, and we do have that kind of emergency. No, we fucking don't. Okay, I remember. Okay, now y'all may not be old enough, for, you know, people who are watching, okay, or people who watch this later, but I remember the 70s. Okay, I was born in '60. I remember the 70s. I'm a boomer. I remember the lines at the gas stations. I remember gas stations that, for example, at least here in Michigan, they did it different ways, you know, in other states, but here in Michigan. At that time, your license plate was just numbers, okay? So if your numbers ended in a odd number, like 35 or whatever, okay, you could only get gas on the odd days, the first, the third, the fifth, whatever, okay? If your numbers ended in an even number, you can only get it on the even days. We didn't have any oil shortage. 100% bullshit. Okay, as an example, a few years back, within the last 20 years, there was a huge explosion. People died in an oil refinery in Texas. Okay, gas prices went through the roof. Oh well, we got to transport it, from say Texas to Michigan. Okay, well if that's your rationale for having higher gas prices, if I live next to that refinery, my gas should be 20 cents a gallon, right? You only got to take it to my house. Oh no, we can't do that, because what happens is, for the most part, not every single drop, hashtag not all oil, but for the most part, they take that oil, ship it overseas, bring it back here. In the meantime, every time they go through a middleman, the price goes up, the price goes up, the price goes up, and they bring it back here, and then they sell it here. Okay. Also, you want to talk about, we'll pop in real quick here, you want to talk about welfare queens, which is another phrase that Reagan used for black people, okay, especially black women. But you want to talk about welfare queens, or lazy people on welfare, or, they're getting subsidized by the government, okay? For example, here in Michigan, okay, because the state taxes can be different from state to state. Here in Michigan, if you make $30,000 a year, that's $15 an hour. Okay, a lot of boomers like, oh my God, $15 an hour, which ain't shit nowadays. But let's say you make $15 an hour. Okay, your normal taxes, if you're a single person, you usually are taxed about 20% rate. Okay, which is way higher than any of the millionaires and billionaires. But anyway, so you're taxed at 20%. Okay, the amount of taxes that you pay for food stamps, quote unquote welfare, Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff, the amount of taxes you pay out of that, the amount of taxes that you pay in general, okay, $36. $36. Okay. You know how much your taxes pay for oil subsidies and gas subsidies? Almost $600. But who's the welfare queens? Okay, so the declaration would allow its administration to fast-track permits, of course, for fossil fuel infrastructure, and it is likely, however, that it's part of a broader effort to roll back climate change policy. It will face legal challenges. So the last two are sort of similar, they're kind of the same topic, but they are different, okay, and I'll get into why. Gender-affirming care, the last election, okay, last year, between Trump and the GOP, PACs and whatever, okay, they spent over $200 million, more than all the rest of their ads combined, over $200 million on anti-trans ads, which is another reason why Harris lost the election, okay. In part, and because I'm not a fan of the Democrats completely either, in part because we were given lip service at the convention, okay, a little bit. Michelle Obama mentioned it. I believe Harris herself mentioned it, et cetera, et cetera. But, we had 81 Democrats, for example, with the NDAA, which is the defense bill, okay. We had 81 Democrats who voted with the Republicans. The only reason that bill passed is because the House Democrats voted with the Republicans. Now, in that bill, they added a very, very transphobic amendment. And the Democrats said, well, we voted for the bill and we're sorry we voted for the bill, but if we came again, we'd have to vote the same way. No, you're not fucking sorry. This is just bullshit stuff that you're trying to pass off to any people who are trans or who are trans allies to try to fool them into thinking, well, I had to do it. No, you didn't fucking have to do it. It could have been kicked back, because wouldn't have passed muster. A bunch of Republicans voted against it for various reasons, but it wouldn't have passed muster. They would have had to go back, send it back and change it again. But nope, Democrats had to do it. This ends gender transitions supposedly for people under 19. Under 19, which means if you're 18, which means you're legally an adult in the United States at 18 years old, but we're going to take away your rights anyway. Not even, for the children. That's how they always start it. For the children. They're going to take away your rights anyway. Trump said, a quote, It is the policy of the United States that, of course, this is the executive order, so, because I'm sure that he's not coherent enough to actually write all this out. It is the policy of the United States that will not fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called transition of a child from one sex to another, and it will rigorously enforce all laws that prohibit or limit these destructive and life-altering procedures. First of all, they're not fucking destructive, okay? Flat out. I know. I'm a trans woman. I know. But this is for federal agencies, okay? So, but it also is therefore then for, like if you have a state, like my state, I live in Michigan, yay Michigan, Michiganders. If you have a, I would say yay Lions, but I don't care that much about sports, but it's fun to watch the Lions sometimes when they lose. But anyway, Michigan, California, Oregon, Wisconsin, Minnesota, quite a few other states, okay? The attorneys general have said, no, we're not doing this shit. We're not complying with this shit. We're going to fight it in court. Whether or not they win is a different story, but they are going to try to fight it as long as possible. And again, if we have elections, and if they are certified, et cetera, et cetera, I'm hoping that in that case, the fights of the attorneys general, at least in those states, Michigan, California, whatever, okay, are going to last long enough and be successful enough, at least at the lower levels of court, that they're going to be able to use that in an election. Now, the problem is that the GOP are again going to be able to use it in an election. Because you dumb motherfuckers that voted for the GOP because you don't like trans people, okay, fucked yourself over. But we're going to get into that later, okay. Not too much later, because I'm getting, close to the end of the show. They extended it to the military, too, which is kind of funny. Oh, it's expensive. It's expensive. They spend a lot of money in the military. Okay. Last year, they spent $5 million on gender-affirming care, whether that's hormone surgery or whatever. Okay, they spent $5 million. That's it, $5 million. Okay. They spent $500 million for Viagra, which, by the way, is gender-affirming care. But it's okay, because it's for cis men. Okay. Cis het men usually, but it's okay because it's for cis men. So it's okay. We can waste the $500 million for Viagra as long. It's like I saw an old meme when I was doing some research for the show that said, it was talking about abortion. And it said, okay, so if you believe that abortion is against God's laws, and because it's a natural thing that women should carry a fetus to term, then you should be also against Viagra, because your limp dick is God's law, is God's plan. Okay. It also means that the federally run insurance programs like TRICARE for military, Medicaid are supposed to exclude such care. It calls on the Department of Justice to vigorously pursue litigation and legislation to oppose the practice. Again, the attorneys general are going to fight against this. Now, here's one of the things. Okay, a lot of people thought, well, the Department of Justice will, combat this. No, they fucking won't. There are a lot of them. Again, hashtag not all, bureaucrats. A lot of them are just, lifetime bureaucrats. They'll do whatever, they'll follow orders. I was just following orders. Where have we heard that before? And then, fortunately, like I said, a lot of blue states are fighting back against it. Okay. Also, these dumb fucks, okay, put out a statement. Gender begins at conception. Now, the reason they did this was because they want to ban contraception. Not just abortion, okay, but contraception as well. They want to ban that, okay. They want to force people to have babies. They want to force people to take fetuses to term to have babies. Women have died because they couldn't get an abortion for a dead fetus, and they bled out in parking lots, okay, because the doctors in the hospitals were afraid that they would get sued and their license taken away and maybe even put in prison because they were performing an abortion. Texas has one of the most restrictive laws, but it says, you can have an abortion, to save the life of the mother, okay? Until a case came up where the woman actually said that, and her doctor said that, and the judge is like, no, that doesn't apply. Judge is not a fucking doctor, okay? But, that doesn't apply. So she went to another state. Now, they're also trying to make it illegal. They haven't yet, Okay, so far they're not able to. Where if you have a fetus inside you and you want to go to another state to get an abortion, what if they do a pregnancy test at the roadblocks? Or somebody turns you in and says, "Oh, well, I know, Nancy so and so or Pat so and so, and they're heading to Wisconsin or Michigan or wherever to get an abortion." Okay, and then the cops pull you over and say, "Oh, well, we hear you're going to get an abortion." Okay, even though it may not be illegal at that time, they'll use whatever excuse they can to pull you over to try to bust you. Okay, one thing: never talk to the cops. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if your ass is lily white, just like mine. Never talk to the cops. Never volunteer any information. First of all, if they say, what's your name, and you say John Doe or whatever, Ian is a joke around, that's illegal. They can then arrest you for it. Okay, never talk to the cops. Period. If you ask them, am I being detained for an illegal act? Oh, we just want to talk to you. Am I being detained for an illegal act? Because if not, I'm not being detained, then I'm free to go. A lot of cops will get pissed off at that because you know your rights. Okay. Well, we're going to detain you. Okay, I'm under arrest? Yeah, you're under arrest. Okay. Under what charge? And they have to tell you the charge. Okay. And then they also have to read you your rights, which is another thing they don't want to do. That's why they'll try everything under the sun. If you're in your house and the cops come knock on your door, okay, we want to talk to you. No, you don't. Well, we just want to ask you a couple questions. No, you don't. You want to talk to me? You can talk to me through the door. Well, we just want you to come outside. No, I'm not coming outside. Do you have a warrant? Well, no, we don't have a warrant. Well, then you're not coming in, and I'm not coming out. That's all there is to it. And, I'm not coming out. Well, we just want to talk to you. I'm not coming out. Have a nice day. Bye. And go back into your house. Boom, boom, boom. They'll keep knocking on the door for a while anyway. Ignore them. You don't have to answer that door. You don't have to open that door. You don't need to open it. Even if you don't come outside, you don't need to open it. Okay? You definitely don't need to step outside that house. You have that right. So far, under the Constitution, they have to present a warrant to you. Okay, and they can't just flash a warrant up. Okay, oh, we got this piece of paper that says it's a warrant. No. Okay. ICE is another thing. There was a guy, a Republican lawmaker, I can't remember his name, but I believe it's in my links. Okay, I have a long list of links for this show. Who was pissing and moaning on CNN about the fact that people were, that immigrants, okay, migrants, knew their rights. I can't believe that, people are using these, these claims, that they're, that they've got the rights, to remain silent or whatever. Okay. Yeah, they have that right. Some people have even, right-wing political pundits even put forth the idea, I believe Laura Loomer is one. I can't remember who the other one was that I read, that claimed that it was illegal, it was interfering with an arrest to tell a person, cop A is trying to arrest person B, okay, or trying to harass them. Telling them, you don't have to talk to that cop. No, that's not fucking illegal. Just flat out. If you're telling another person what their legal rights are, you have the legal right to do that as well. It happens to be called free speech. At least for now. Until the fascists continue taking over. But anyway, so these dump books put this thing out, gender starts at conception. Okay, and that's what they are, dump books. Okay, gender starts at conception. Which is a religious thing, okay, because full well, as much as I do, that a lot of this is fundamentalist religious based. Okay. Here's the problem. No, gender doesn't start at conception. The person carrying the fetus doesn't get that wash of hormones, because that's what happens. They get that wash of hormones to determine the sex of the child, the fetus, until at about 6 weeks. Okay. Until that 6 week period, all fetuses, every single one, are female. So every single male in America, every single one of them, cisgender or otherwise, doesn't matter, is a trans man. But again, these people don't know jack shit about science. Okay, they don't know jack shit about reality. They don't know jack shit about medicine. They don't know anything about nothing. Okay, until then, as I said, all fetuses are female. Why do you think men have nipples? Okay. Oh, and then there's a few governors. Governor Newsom is one. Okay, in particular. Obviously, these are my words, not his. Okay. Governor Newsom of California told him to fuck off. No, I'm not changing shit. The Trump said, you know, and again, this is illegal, by the way. Trump said, well, he said that they should, and Congress said, because they're the ones controlling the funds, said that what they wanted to do was to tell California, we won't send you FEMA, we won't send you help, we won't send you firefighters unless you change your ID laws. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Okay, so the last executive order I'm going to cover, creating a policy recognizing only two genders, which is a little different than the first one, because the first one was about gender affirming care. Okay. Trump signed an order to remove, quote, remove gender ideology guidance from federal government communications policies and forums. The official policy stated that there are only two genders, male and female, which is not true. I don't care what, you know, your local GOP leader, your local priest, your local pastor, your local reverend, minister, whatever, tells you that's not true. It's a very small percentage, okay? The amount of trans people in the United States, I believe, are guesstimated at about 2.5%, okay? Very tiny percentage. But that's also millions of people, by the way, okay? There's roughly 330 million people in this country, something like that, okay? So you're talking close to 10 million people that are trans in some way, shape, or form. The fact that, you know, the claim that there's only two genders, male and female, is just flat out not true, okay? But again, like I talked about, you know, there's the claim of gender starts at conception, okay? It's not just to ban trans people, okay, which is what they want to do. They want to wipe us out of existence. It's a form of genocide, okay? They want to kill us. But it's also to try to sneak bans in on contraceptions, okay? This is how it started in Nazi Germany. Yes, I'm going to make that comparison. This is how it started. You know, the book burning. Oh my God, it's horrible that the Nazis are burning books. Okay, you know what all those books were? Most of them were, I forget the German word for it, okay, but it's basically a German study of different sexualities, different genders, and different sexes, okay? A whole bunch of information on trans people, etc., etc. Okay, go look up a movie called Hedwig and the Angry Inch, okay? Hedwig, H-E-D-W-I-G, and the Angry Winch. Inch, it's a winch. Inch, it's a great movie, okay? But all these books that they burned were about trans people, queer people, etc. The Nazis burned them. And what also happened was that when the U.S. government came in, yay, we're saviors, we're going to come in and release you from Dachau, from Auschwitz, from whatever, okay, which was great. I'm not saying that it wasn't at all. It's absolutely fucking awesome. All the queer people stayed in prison because they're queer. At that time, it was illegal. Nope, can't do it. You're queer, you know, can't do it. You know, so we went through smaller percentage of people, okay, not I would say a smaller percentage per capita, okay. Same reason to some extent, because we were different. The Jews were different. We were blamed for problems. The Jews were blamed for problems. The Jews were blamed more, I think. You know, that's where the pink triangle comes from. That's where the representation for the pink triangle, or triangle in general, but the pink triangle comes from, for representing queer people, because of how many of us died in the prison or the concentration camps, okay? Like the migrant detention centers. They're not migrant detention centers, they're fucking concentration camps. Call them what they are, all right? And it also reverses the Biden era executive order on the acceptance of gender identity. Gee, what a surprise, okay? Here's my thing. Okay, so I've been talking about the right wing. Okay, so, you know, GOP. So now I'm going to get on the Democrats a little bit, because again, I'm not a Democrat. Okay, where are the leaders of the left? Where are the firebrands of the left? I'm not talking the fucking old guard. I'm not talking Steny Hoyer or Chuck Schumer or Nancy fucking Pelosi, who needs to go home. Well, all three of them and more need to go home. Okay, for the top 5 aged people as far as the length in Congress, okay, not necessarily age, but length in Congress, although Pelosi's way up there too, but she started later. in the Democratic part of Congress, okay, including the House and the House of Representatives and the Senate, those 5 people have 140, I believe it was 147 years in Congress with 5 people, okay, and that's not counting other ones. They're not the only ones, okay. For the GOP, which is their worst, okay, granted, their top 5 people as far as length of time in Congress, they have 257, I think it is, or something like that. Okay, it's 250 something anyway, I believe, over 240 anyway, years in Congress between 5 fucking people. Okay, these people need to go, and this isn't an ageism thing. Okay, because if Nancy Pelosi she's what fucking 98, something like that, whatever it is, she's way up there anyway. Okay, if Nancy Pelosi started 10 years ago, I'd have said fine, wouldn't have liked her, but I still would have said fine. Okay, it is not her age, it's how long she's been in Congress and not done a fucking thing other than, kind of piss off the GOP once in a while. Okay, just like, God, I can't stand them. Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, who pretend every single fucking time that a controversial law or policy or whatever comes up that the GOP wants to push forth, they pretend, oh, well, Susan Collins said, what was it she said about Pete Hegseth, the alleged drunk that's now heading the Department of Defense, who's never fucking been in the military. She said, well, I have reservations about him. I have questions for him. And then when the vote came, she turned right the fuck around. And now she did vote against him, okay? But she also said that she supported a lot of stuff, and she talked to him, and and basically her paraphrasing was that it was okay because she talked to him and it was cool. But then again, back to the Democrats, okay? Because I've been ranting and raving about the GOP. Back to the Democrats. This is the last part of the show today, okay? Nancy Pelosi is getting up there in years, like I said, okay? I did a short bit last week on the ages of the Democrats versus the ages of the Republicans. You can go back and look at that episode, okay, last week's. I did a bit on that. I went into greater detail on that. I'm not going to do it on this one, okay. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are not McConnell or Pelosi. Now, in this respect, I don't want to say I'm giving them kudos, okay, but Nancy Pelosi has had, and continues to have, to some extent, a lot of power. Schumer has less, and Jeffries has way less, okay. Gee, I wonder if it's because he's a black guy. I wonder if it's because he's a Muslim. Huh. But anyway, Harris, and by extension Biden, and Clinton, all lost to Trump. Now, granted, Clinton lost through the Electoral College, but they all lost to Trump. Beast says, free from ideological bias, meaning as conservative MAGA. Yeah, absolutely. So, when the Democrats, you have a few Democrats, okay? You have a few Democrat firebrands, and I agree, okay? You have AOC. You have Jasmine Crockett, and I love both of them. When they get up there, Katie Porter. Okay, when those 3 get up there, I wouldn't want to be a Republican congressman or senator, let me tell you, okay? The problem is that the amount, percentage-wise, of Democratic or blue firebrands are few, okay? You have Bernie Sanders. Okay, Bernie Sanders has some good ideas. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Bernie girl, okay? Don't get me wrong, but Bernie Sanders had some good ideas, and he still has some good ideas. He needs to go the fuck home, okay? Nancy Pelosi needs to go the fuck home. Chuck Schumer needs to go the fuck home. Steny Hoyer needs to go the fuck home. You want to be a mentor? Fine. You want to be a lobbyist? Fine. You want to push Democratic policies to more than one congressman, more than one senator? Fine. Okay. But let the younger people, and by younger I mean 30s, 40s, and 50s, okay, because 50s are a lot younger, okay, let the younger people get in there and push other ideas. For example, this is something I'm still fucking pissed off at her about, okay? One of the biggest problems that Kamala Harris, copy break. One of the biggest problems that Kamala Harris had, and understandably so, during the campaign, was that Biden hung on way too long, which is another reason why Ruth Bader Ginsburg, her memory can go fuck itself. Other than the fact that she also was very shitty on indigenous issues in Indigenous women. Okay, but anyway, um, she held on way too long and blocked Obama from actually appointing a liberal to the bench. But um, where the hell was I? Sorry, ADHD brain. Um, you know, Ginsburg held on too long, and Biden held on. That's where I was. Biden held on too long. Okay, so Kamala Harris had only 2 months. That's it. 2 months to run a fucking campaign. Not over a year like they usually do, because they usually start about December. Okay, start mouthing about I'm going to run this year or whatever. Okay, nope. She had 2 months. That's it. In that 2 month time period, within the first month, she raised over $200 million. She had a lot of support. Okay, not enough, clearly, but a lot of support. It may have given her more time to build up more support had she been able to start 6 or 7 months prior to that. But nope, Biden had to stay in there. He's like, I'm going to stay in there, and I'm basically the best guy for the job, and whatever. And finally, enough people said, no, you need to step down. You're going to fuck over the country. And he was like, okay, I'm going to step down. Which is, I don't like a lot of the shit that Biden did. I do like a lot of stuff he did also. But I give him credit for that. At least he stepped down. He agreed to step down. Whether he was quote unquote forced or not, he agreed to step down and let somebody else come in. The clear winner, runner-up, whatever you want to call it, favorite, okay, for that spot was Kamala Harris. Being, she's his vice president, being that she's supported by Biden and Obama and whatever, okay. But like I said, she only had 2 months. Nancy Pelosi, for the first couple of days, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, it was, time-wise, it was a little bit long, not actual, hours, but as far as politically, wanted to have a fucking convention. What the fuck are you talking about? You got less than 2 months, okay, and you want to have a convention to allow the people to choose. Well, most of the people already fucking chose. It's just your old ass didn't want somebody who was younger, didn't want somebody who had some power, didn't want somebody who was going to change some shit. Okay, she wasn't going to change enough, to my taste, but, I'm a socialist, so, I understand that. But she was going to change some shit. Oh, no, we can't do that. Nancy Pelosi didn't want that. And so finally she gave in, she buckled in, just like what Biden did. She's like, well, you know what? I'm paraphrasing, of course, and these words didn't come out of her mouth, but her basic, what it seemed to me was, so she's like, you know what? Doesn't matter how hard I push against this, they're gonna choose her as a candidate anyway. And if I push back against it, I'm gonna lose power. So then she supported Kamala Harris. Sure, she did. As far as the like I said, as far as the Democratic firebrands, okay, Harris lost, Biden lost, Clinton lost, so they're kind of the old guard. Harris maybe not so much, obviously. Gavin Newsom, which I'm not saying he'd be a great candidate because I have some problems with him, but he is a firebrand when it comes to Democratic Party. He's busy with the fucking fires in his state. Thousands of fires, people have died. While the government is fucking around with we're not going to give you money and we're not going to give you firefighters unless you change your voter ID laws. Now, to my knowledge, they backed off on that, but I'm not positive. Okay. Pete Buttigieg, isn't that recognizable to the overall public? If he walked into a restaurant, a lot of people would go, I don't know who he is. Okay. Also, more people than not don't like him. I happen to think he's okay. Middle of the road Democrat, slightly to the left, slightly. Okay. Bernie is getting up there in years. Like I said, he needs to go the fuck home. But the party leadership doesn't like him either, because the ideas that he still has and the ideas that he's had all along buck that party leadership. And they don't like that. They don't want to lose that power. Like I said, AOC has been outspoken. Jasmine Crocker has been outspoken. So it's probably for the best that we wait and see if some new leaders will rise up, some new figureheads will rise up, rather than the old guard trying to take the reins, okay? But until the party accepts someone who's actually on the left, like Bernie, and I'm talking, I'm not talking my left, because there's no fucking way they're going to put somebody, an actual socialist up there. Okay. I don't think it would be like, Reagan versus Mondale. Reagan won 49 fucking states. I don't think it would be like that, but it would be pretty bad again. Okay. But left of where they are now. Until they do that, they're going to lose the election again. Absolutely. Now, the individual House, like I said, I think the House is going to go blue, even if it's just slightly. I think the House is going to go blue. The Senate might go blue. I think that's more up in the air. It's probably going to stay level, or Democrats may even lose a couple seats in the Senate. But I think the House is going to go blue. But until they, like I said, until they get somebody maybe like Bernie, or at least, again, to the left of the Democrats where they are now, the main party leadership is now, they're going to lose the fucking election again, the presidential election. Okay, they may lose the Senate. And it is possible, I don't think it's likely, but it is possible that they could lose the House again. Because they're fucking centrist. And I've said this before, what happened was, and what happens is, here they are in the center. Okay, they could go left, they could go right, but here they are in the center, and the Republicans, seeing that, go further to the right, and they pick up votes. They pick up votes, obviously, from the MAGA base and whatever else. They pick up votes from people who are a little bit to the left of that, and then they pick up votes from the quote-unquote centrists. Okay, and the Democrats see that, we can't lose those votes, so they go to the right again. And then the Republicans go, well, if they went to the right, we need to go farther to the right, and it's that vicious cycle. Okay. So, I've said, like I mentioned, Ilhar Ohan, I can't remember her name, how to pronounce her name. But there's, say, half a dozen, maybe a dozen, okay, top, in between the House and the Senate. There are Democratic firebrands. The rest aren't. Okay. Now here's the thing. There may be more. All right. I'm a political junkie, a minor one. Okay, I don't follow politics like 24 hours out of the day. I don't do it like Jesse Delamore does, or Mike from the Humanist Report, or John from the Damage Report, or whatever. Okay, they're very good at what they do. I actually have some links for those specific videos on those channels. Okay, they're very good at what they do. I'm not that good, obviously. I'm not that practiced. I'm not that knowledgeable. But I do what I can. Here's my thing. I am more politically knowledgeable than a lot of people in America. Hashtag not everybody, but a lot of people in America. I have barely heard of anybody outside of those dozen people, half a dozen to a dozen people, Democratic firebrands, who are pushing back against the Republicans. If I have only heard of those, what about the people who aren't political at all? Like, I'm not going to do politics because it doesn't affect me, at least until they find out that it does. Okay, like in this case. How are you going to get to those people? How are you going to show those people how your policies, your Democratic policies, are better than GOP if you can't fucking put your message out? If you're still stuck in that old guard, okay? This last election, regardless of their policies, okay, regardless of the fact that Trump sucks, regardless of the fact that Biden sucks to some extent, okay, my viewpoint is both sides are not the same, but both sides suck, okay? You have two old white men, again, running for president. Okay, now, I don't think that it should be the legal basis or whatever, you have to be black to run for president, or you have to be female to run for president. But I think they need a fucking chance. Alright? Israel has had no problem with women as president or prime minister in this case, okay? Ireland has had no problem with women as president. There's no fucking reason that a woman can't be president, period. There's no fucking reason, obviously Barack Obama was, although he was a centrist, that a black man can't be president, that a black woman can't be president. None. You got way too many fucking people in this country, however, who are racist, who are misogynistic, who are queerphobic. And that's why they won't, they might say anything. They might say, it's the price of eggs or whatever. No, it's not. Okay? Because you also have, the last point here, okay, you also have a lot of people on social media. I was going to take some short clips, okay, of these people doing different things, okay, but there was just so many, it was hard to choose one, and so I did put some links, okay, I'm going to put a pinned post and have those links in the description. You see people crying, you see people whining, you see people pissing and moaning about, oh, well, you know, Trump's taking away my EBT and Trump's taking away my disability. And, you know, yeah, he fucking said he was going to. Now, you know, I don't normally give congratulations or kudos, okay, props to, you know, people who will say, you know, oh, at least he tells it like it is. No, I don't give a fuck about that. But Trump told you, this is directly to MAGA, Trump told you what he was going to do. Absolutely. He told you he was going to cut benefits. He told you he was going to cut other things. Okay. First of all, leopards eating faces. You know, if you don't understand that reference, look it up. But secondly, he told you that he was going to do all those things. Here's the problem. You thought that one of two things. Either A, it was going to affect everybody, but it wasn't going to affect you as bad. Or B, it was only going to affect those people. Okay. Black and brown people. Queer people. Disabled people. It was only going to affect them. Okay. And for those who thought, you know, well, you know, it's going to affect those people, but, you know, us a little less, there's that fucking white privilege that you have. And you have white privilege, for the white people I'm talking to specifically. You have white privilege, period. That doesn't mean your life is great. That doesn't mean, you know, you're hunky-dory and everything's working well for you. You got a great job, you got a great family, whatever. Okay, no. What that means is if you get pulled over by the cops, one of the things you don't have to worry about is the color of your skin. If you're running for office, if you're running for a political office, if you're applying for a job, you don't have to worry about the color of your skin. You don't have to worry about your ethnicity. You don't have to worry about your name. You don't have to worry about whether your name is Tyrone or John. They do. You know, to some extent, very, very few, but to some extent, you know, queer people, okay, who are not trans, queer people, gay men, lesbians, okay, can quote-unquote hide it, okay. Some of them might have, you know, gay men might have effeminate mannerisms or whatever, but to a lot extent, they can quote-unquote hide it, okay. They can go back in the closet. Trans people can't. Black people sure the fuck can't, okay. How are they going to hide their skin? You have that white privilege that they don't, okay. And you've had that white privilege all of your life, and that's built into our society. The institutional racism is built into our society. The institutional racism is built into the police. It's built into the government. It's built into banks. It's built into department stores. Okay. Ask, you know, if you have black friends, if you have black people in your family, if you know somebody who's black at work, ask them if they've ever been followed around at a store. Just because. Okay. And I will bet you that the majority of them will tell you yes. Ask a woman, okay, ask a trans woman, cis woman, whatever, ask them if they've ever been sexually harassed. And, you know, a compliment, you look pretty today, is not sexual harassment, okay? And we're not just talking touch, by the way, either, touch, okay, catcalled, whatever. Ask them if they've been sexually harassed. I guarantee you every single one of them has. And as far as cis girls are concerned, I guarantee you that it started before middle school, 8, 9 years old. Guarantee it. Ask them. Especially white cis-het males, I'm talking to you, okay, and especially the poorer ones, okay, I'm talking to you. You have that privilege that we don't, that they don't, okay. And you thought that was going to protect you. You thought that was going to protect you from Trump. You thought that was going to distance you from the cutting of benefits. You thought that was going to distance you from prices. You thought that was going to distance you and give you a cushion where you might get screwed over a little bit, but you're not going to get screwed over as much as these people. It doesn't work that way. Because the rich people, Trump, doesn't give a fuck about you. You might think he does. You might swallow that bullshit, but he doesn't give a fuck about you. Not in any way, shape, or form. He came down that golden fucking escalator and you swallowed everything he said, hook, line, and sinker. So I don't feel sorry for you a bit. Not a bit. I've seen a lot of people say, you know, oh, well, you know, it's hard for me to feel, you know, empathy for him, you know, but I do feel empathy for him. I don't. Fuck you. I don't feel empathy a bit. You deserve every fucking bit of misery that you have. You deserve it. And and we're going to slightly go apart again. Okay, this is the very last part of the show. We were going to get back into this. Remember I told you earlier I was going to talk about Merrick Garland. Okay. Merrick Garland is one of the people that I hate in this country above a lot of people. Project says the Overton window keeps getting pulled so far to the right. The right actually has no idea what the left actually is. Yeah, I've heard this phrase before, Project, that it's basically, you know, the right thinks that anybody to the left, anybody that doesn't want to hunt homeless for sport is to the left. That's how far it is. Okay. B says, and despite what punks like Bosch say, it's legitimate and requires attention. Yeah, I have words for Bosch too, and Destiny and whatever else. Okay. The quote unquote liberals. So we're going to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about Merrick Garland. Okay, Merrick Garland could go fuck himself. Okay. We're going to get into it a little bit because, like I said, it's almost at the end of the show. All right. One of the reasons that we were able to be shoved into this shitty fascist timeline is because of Merrick Garland, flat out. All right. His defenders said the people, you know, claim that he wasn't prosecuting Trump quick enough is a bum rap. They said his record demonstrates that he made investigating Trump a top priority, even as he focused on restored integrity. No, he fucking didn't. He also said he wanted to bring some calm to the Justice Department. Well, he sure made him calm because they were fucking asleep at the wheel. He put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. Okay. Until he left office. A lot of it he put off until he left office and never actually enacted it. Never actually acted on it, I should say. Not enacted it. Worked on it. Okay. His defenders also said his investigation was complicated and slowed by unusual and unpredictable obstacles, including, for example, the Supreme Court's lawless immunity ruling. Except here's the thing. Okay. The Supreme Court's lawless immunity ruling came late last year. How long has been Merrick Garland supposed to be working on this Trump cases? A long ass fucking time. Long before that. Had nothing to do with the immunity ruling at that time. It's just an excuse. They also say that events outside of Garland's control guarantee that Trump would not have been held accountable before the election. Bullshit. Just because those particular events for some people wouldn't have allowed them to hold him accountable doesn't mean all of them were. He didn't do his fucking job, period. And, last point, I'm not happy with Jack Smith either. He should have tried to get Cannon recused a long ass fucking time ago. Okay? And I got so tired. In fact, you know, on occasion, I would, you know, I like watching the Humanist Report. I like watching the Damage Report. I like watching Jesse Delamore. I like watching all these different people. Midas Touch, etc. Okay, I like them. And, you know, there's some links in the comment in the pin section, pin post that will be about them. Okay, I like them. But I got tired of hearing over and over and over and over and over. Well, this is the thing that's going to allow Jack Smith to get, you know, Cannon off the bench. Nope, that wasn't. But this is the thing, over and over and over and fucking over. He never did it. Not once did he ever ask specifically for her to be recused from the bench. He, you know, had some of her decisions reversed. Yes, he did. But he never asked her to be recused from the bench. And so, that case got pushed off and pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. And because it's a federal case, guess what? Doesn't matter now. Doesn't fucking matter. So Jack Smith, much as, you know, he might have tried to some extent, okay, he should have fucking known better. And he should have tried better. I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I'm saying he was incompetent in that manner. Not that I'm opinionated. And remember, last point, okay, remember on day one, I will lower prices. I will lower egg prices. I will lower gas prices. And then when it came time for a couple weeks, you know, ish, before the end of the year, not even January 20th, before January 1st, well, you know, it's really complicated, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to lower prices. You fucking swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker. Your ignorant asses swallowed it again. Hook, line, and fucking sinker. All right? I don't feel sorry for you a bit. Okay? And so, I'm going to do this at the end of every show. Okay? I've said this before. I'm going to do this at the end of every show. Okay? For those people who voted for Trump, okay, and who are crying about voting for Trump. The people who I remember reading that Google searches in in a lot of particular states for the week or two after the election. Excuse me, sorry. For a week or two after the election. What's up, Fines? Yeah, I'm just about done with the show here. I'm glad you're feeling better. You can watch the rerun to get the earlier part of it. For a week or two after the election, the biggest Google searches in those states, how can I change my vote? Can I change my vote? No, you can't fucking change your vote. I understand that a lot of people have a lot of problems sometimes with keeping up on politics. Okay, I'm retired, so I don't have that, at least now, unless they cut Social Security completely. Excuse me, sorry, coffee burp. I don't have that pressure. You got jobs, you got, other things you have to work for, you got family issues, whatever. I understand that you can't follow politics all the time, but you should at least be fucking involved enough. If you're gonna fucking vote, and by the way, a lot of people, over 60, 70 million people didn't vote at all. But if you're gonna fucking vote, you need to pay attention to politics enough to learn what the fuck it is. All these people who said, "Oh my God, I didn't know what that these tariffs meant that that our prices were gonna raise." A 60-second Google search would have told you that, but you didn't bother looking. You swallowed all that bullshit that Trump told you. So for all those people who are crying and whining and pissing and moaning, the whole leopards eating faces bullshit, okay, about how Trump did this and Trump did that, and I didn't think he was going to do it, and people literally said, I didn't think he was going to come after my benefits and whatever. You know what? Fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you and everybody who looks like you, okay? Fuck you and everybody that thinks of politics like you do, okay? I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of people going, liberals, okay? I'm tired of liberals going, well, I understand, that they've screwed themselves over, but I just feel empathy for them. I don't fucking feel empathy a bit. You got exactly what you voted for. Alright? I hope you choked on it. So, I'm done. With my little hour-long, a little bit under an hour, okay, rant, okay, I'm done with it. Hold on a second here. I got a message. But I'm done with it. So for those who chimed in, okay, some people floated in and out. That's cool. Okay, it's a Sunday afternoon. I understand that you may, especially you might be getting ready for supper or whatever. I understand all that. Okay, but for those who stopped in, I appreciate it. For those who watch it later, I appreciate it. B says it's a stone cold salute from now on. 2 birds for the moon. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday to come in for an hour, 5 minutes. I don't care, whatever, however long. Okay, drop a like and a subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Drop a like on it. Put a comment. Once I pin the post, okay, because you won't be able to comment until they do. Put a comment down in the comment section. Tell me, oh yeah, well the rest of the show is pretty good, but you got this wrong, or I like all of your show, or next week can you do this topic, or soon can you do this topic, because I'm open to suggestions. If you want me to cover something specific. Now this one happened to be executive orders, like I said, the whole fired host thing, so it's going to be a lot of topics that I can cover kind of briefly. Even though I did those 6 executive orders, I kind of focused on them more and covered briefly. But if there's a specific topic, say disability in America, or race relations in regards to hiring federal employees, or whatever, okay. Many find says the peace sign is 2 fingers, ain't our fault they didn't specify which ones. Well, yeah, the English one is this one, okay. Well, ours is this one. The English version of this is this, all right. Ain't our fault they didn't specify which ones. If you have a suggestion, hit me up in the comments. Say, hey, could you do this, or could you look at this, or could you take a look at that sometime, or whatever. I might not be able to do it the very next show, okay, but I'm definitely open to suggestions. Usually I have my topic a week ahead of time. So if you make a suggestion in the comments, okay, and I think it's a good topic for the show, I'll also tell you, okay, let's say you say, oh well, I'd like you to to cover disability in regards to housing. Okay, and I decided I'm going to cover that. I'll tell you. Well, not this show, but the next show, I'm going to cover that topic for you. Okay, so I want to hang up here. I want to tell everybody to thank you. I appreciate it. In the pinned post will be all my links. You know, you got the I have a writer's I'm just say comment. I have a writer's account on Blue Sky. I have my Angry Wrench account on Blue Sky. I have a Facebook page, but I don't put on here, but you'll be able to find me pretty easily. I have other things that are going on. I have a sticker shop, sticker and mug shop. I have a t-shirt shop. The t-shirt shop, I would have put them all on the sticker and mug shop because it would have been one link, but the sticker shop wanted $30 almost for a t-shirt. The hell? Especially me, an unknown content creator. Whereas I can sell that same shirt for $18 on my other shop. Okay. But anyway, so you can check all this shit out in the pinned post. And it's going to take me about 5 minutes or so to edit that post to make sure that I got everything the way I want it, and then I'll pop it up there, and then you can make whatever comments you make afterwards. So where is my OBS? My OBS, my OBS, my OBS. Nope, that's my showrunner. That's my signal. There we go. Okay, that's my OBS. So I love that baby goat. Okay, that's also in the shop, by the way. You can do the Angry Wrench with the baby goat on there. So I want to thank you all. Remember my slogans. The Angry Wrench is kind. The Angry Wrench is